These are the things that we're going to cover. Kind of creating your own foundation, your foundational, customer profile, buyer persona, a very practical marketing plan that will align with your budgetary needs and again, your personal style. Lots of information that you need to do up front that's it is time consuming and kind of tedious to take the time to go through this exercise, but once you do that, it'll kind of give you, pay you in dividends over the long term. So all of this is predicated on, you keep your friends close and your enemies closer, staying in touch with your competition on a granular level, and then fueling the whole thing with a technology platform that keeps you selling when you're not there, essentially. So the first thing we're going to talk about is kind of creating your foundation. One of the things that I'd like us to do is kind of change the paradigm from that customer funnel to being more of a customer life cycle. So, everyone can be either an influencer or a potential client of yours. So depending on how you relate to them and how you establish, the first touch point with someone, they actually become a customer life cycle. So you attract, you convert the lead, you close the sale, and then what we call delight them with interesting touch points and valuable information as your relationship continues. So the first thing that you want to do, though, is really explore what you really want. I know when I've worked at big agencies, small agencies, I've worked for Fortune 100 companies, and I've worked with boutique, smaller firms. And when I went out on my own a long time ago, I never said no, because I'm like, I gotta say yes. I want to be all things to all people until I can fill that delta of paying my bills, but then really attracting and building my business, my branding and marketing business with the people that I really wanted to serve. The passion that I had, the type of client that I wanted, etc. And that's really hard when you're by yourself or when you're just starting out. What I love about working with Christina is she, and I love saying this like your third person, you were with a huge ad agency, and she and someone else started like one of the very first digital agencies in Dallas, and she has evolved with the technology, as opposed to traditional push campaigns where you spend a lot of cash on billboards, ads, and this is pre-digital age. She kind of grew up in that and evolved it into where we are today. So that's one of the beauties that I felt in working with her. I was actually a client of Christina's at one time, an Oracle consultancy, and it really did change the way their business hit the map and got noticed and was sold to Accenture. So it was a very cool customer journey for Incotech, was the name of the firm. But it has to do with what you really want and who you really want to target, okay? So you guys probably all know in sales, the low-hanging fruit is the A prospects, people that you either know or they've gone dormant and you want to kind of reconnect. And those are kind of more of the personal touch points that you'll have with someone through phone calls, emails, take them to coffee, let's catch up, let's try to network and figure out either how we can start doing business again together, or hey, you and I have been connected through LinkedIn for 4 years, let's go ahead because we know one another. So that's kind of the manual part of this. The automated part is these warm leads, and then the cold leads that you really want to nurture, your long-term goal, that you identify the 10 customers that you want to engage with and serve their business. That's where this customer relationship management technology can really serve you, because again, you're a single proprietor, or are you a single proprietor?
I'm a part of my family's business.
Okay,
So
so you're a
kind
family
of,
business, you're,
Yeah.
and so my point there is, I don't know how big your marketing department is, but it would be really, hard pressed for you to sit on the phone or try to engage in social media all day long to try to, identify and attract people to you who you would like to align yourself with, your business. So the automated part of what we're talking about today is doing this front load exploration of what you really want, what their wants and needs are, and coming up with a plan to help them find you more readily than doing just a push campaign, okay? Inbound marketing is attracting, so.
What was the business that you're in?
Financial services, so we help small business owners organize their finances, make more
Okay.
profits.
Oh, cool. Okay, cool.
And so, and you're based in Dallas?
Virtual.
Okay.
So Dallas,
that's great.
Pennsylvania, yeah, we work with
Okay,
clients all over.
so your platform, I mean, you're national, you're,
Yes.
and so, and that's even more imperative because depending on how you strategize, if you're going into key markets, I mean, they're totally different, I guess, tactical ways in which to market to these potential customers, from one region to another. And that's another kind of beauty in the customer relationship management technology, in that you can have concurrent campaigns going at the same time, where you're staying front and center in front of these recipients, as opposed to having to go through the daily grind of doing a more traditional type of outreach. So this is interesting. Creating a customer profile for your ideal customer, okay? And I wanna show you.
You guys haven't done anything in that space specifically, have you? Like targeting the profile based on these criteria?
That's something that we've been doing in the past month.
Oh, okay.
We've really had to build the ability to, one, decide on what prospect we're looking at, and then go after said prospect.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
But you, Ron, you don't really have like this, like, do you, I mean, you know who you target, but do you have
We
those?
have a couple of avatars. It's one of the big projects that I've been working with my marketing
Okay.
person.
So for instance, with the customer profile, it is more indicative of like the industry, the type of budget or revenue threshold that you would like to attract, along with the geographic location, which we were talking about a minute ago. So, and the objective here is, you know, and I'm reading this because it's just really relevant. It is publishing the right content to reach this profile, this kind of ideal profile, the right content in the right place at the right time, and you become relevant and helpful over the course of time by the way you're creating your foundation, the way you're building your foundation, by doing content, creating content and pushing it out that is not interruptive, but it's more the potential customer is seeking it out. So one of the cool things about creating the profile is kind of cascading it down to the actual buyers. So this is the company, and this is the actual buyer. So the person that you're talking with on a daily basis, you know, you are going to create a fictionalized general representation of the person you're going to be working with, the person that you're going to be trying to engage in, and as opposed to a title that you're going to be trying to create a persona out of. It's the person's daily grind. You know, what challenges are these people facing on a daily basis? that once they read your blog or once they see your social post, it's actually something relevant to what they're either suffering from or hoping that they find a solution for. So, and this sounds kind of altruistic, but it's truly kind of personally, how can I really help you? I mean, I don't know, with NTI, there's so many different facets of the business. So you all have, like, the sky is the limit. You just have to pluck a specific customer base or target segment to apply all this to. And that's why it's just so imperative to do this upfront work to 1, 2, or 3 personas that you'll then feed the content into. If that makes sense. You understand what I'm saying there?
And what I was reading about buyer personas was that don't make it about the job title, like try not to. It needs to be about a personality, like, micromanager Mary, like if that is the person you often deal with, or penny pincher Paul, like they say to like personalize them, but don't do a job title because it's too limiting. So it's kind of cool working through these. It's more fun than you.
There's a lot more psychographics involved than, and there's some subjectivity, but it's also the thing that resonates the most with these 2 steps, the customer and the buyer personas, is what you're really doing is trying to figure out what is going to serve you the best. What's going to be the best fit for you? Because again, as I mentioned earlier, I've spent years, one of the beauties of working with a big ad agency, I worked for an Omnicom agency, and back in 1990, I helped 7-Eleven unveil the breakfast foods division. They'd never served breakfast and they'd never served booze. So those were the 2 big categories that I helped, and it was easy to do because I had the money, I had 22 people under me, and I had Jim Keyes, the CEO of Southland Corporation, telling me, this is what I want, this is how we're gonna do it. Well, it's so much harder to do what we're doing in this room. I know NTI is a corporation, but it's so much harder to do what we are talking about today because we're creating it ourselves. And I don't know how long, you said you started in what, 2020, early 2020, is that when?
Are you asking?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
sorry. Can't see with the glare on my bling.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, late 2020.
Okay.
Mid.
And so, did you and your family kind of go through, hey, this is who we're targeting, this is how much money we want to make the first year, this is, and has that played out effectively for you, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this actually started as my dad's retirement project. So he.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It started. Yeah, it's just his passion project. So he didn't necessarily set a lot of goals.
Okay.
Just in terms of that, and it kind of grew from there. And that's.
Well, that makes
how I
it
ended
even
up on the
more.
team. Yeah.
I mean, that's really kind of a beautiful way to manifest something like this. So now you can scale it.
Yes.
because again, when you do something like this and you're able to pluck out, your target markets, challenges, needs, wants, complaints. There's one story that resonated with me when I first started working with a customer relationship management software. This is a scientist who said, we were wondering in McDonald's why we sold so many vanilla milkshakes like before 7 o'clock in the morning. It's like, you would think people would buy them in the afternoon or evening. Well, it turns out after they did kind of an exit interview with big guys walking out or driving through, it turns out that in this particular part of the country, they were all construction people, and they needed a hands-free thing because they were on the phone, and they needed something to fill their bellies between the time they left around the vicinity of this McDonald's to this place 20 to 25 minutes away, but they had to make phone calls and all. So it was kind of this convenience factor. So that changed the whole way they set up their ad campaign, for this different kind of niche market now, as opposed to people like me just get it because I love vanilla milkshakes. But it was just an interesting facet, and they created a persona out of that, a buyer persona out of that. So, okay, so the next thing is building your inbound marketing plan. And what the plan hopefully will reflect is your personal human bandwidth. You know, what can you really afford, you know, from a time space perspective, the financial means, and what's going to serve your ideal customer and buyer personas best. There is the tactical plan that you need to consider after going through this exercise and identifying these two personas, then the nurturing initiatives, and then the social media mix that you're going to employ to support these, okay? The whole point is to create content that's tailored specifically for these personas, that reflects their wants and needs, and that keeps you personal and relevant to them. So one thing I want to do, if you don't mind swiveling real quick, is